Well, hello and welcome to another episode of More Perfect Marketing. It's David Baer here, and today we're going to be talking about, I almost said Google My Business, but it's not Google My Business. It is the Google Business Profile that we'll be talking about. If you're not sure what that is, well, let's think about what you do as a consumer when you are looking for something, a business or a product locally and you're trying to figure out who has this, who sells this, where can I find this, where can I drive over there? That is what we're going to be talking about, and we'll talk about kind of from your perspective as a consumer, all the different ways that you may not be aware of that you're interacting with these Google online properties, these assets that now shift your hat for a moment, and now you're the business owner, that you have the power to put in place to help your business. Now, I know a little bit about this, but I don't know nearly as much as today's guest. So I'm so thankful that Marilyn Jenkins is here to walk us through all of this. Hey, Marilyn, how are you?
I'm great, David. How are you today?
I well, as you can tell, I'm energetic and enthusiastic. This is a fun topic, and I'm thrilled that you're going to be helping us sort of piece all of this together because Google is, this giant organization that has all of these really cool services and assets and tools that we can use as business owners. And most of what we tend to think about are things like, oh, the Google Workplace or the Gmail or the stuff that gets us through the productivity of our business, but not nearly as much about the marketing assets that it has for us. And so I wonder if you can sort of give us a brief introduction to what we're going to be talking about when it comes to the whole Google business profile thing.
Absolutely. So, if you've ever done a search on Google, which we all have, you'll see whenever the first three things you see on your results are paid ads. The next three things is an ad. I mean, is the maps. That's your Google business profile. Done right, you will be in the top three. So, Google your business name. If there's a Google business profile out there, it will show up on the right, and you can see, you can claim it, you can verify it, you can optimize it, you can just add to it. So it's how you are found anytime someone near your place is doing a search for whatever you offer.
Something that I've been talking about with folks in the search engine optimization world over the last, I don't know, 16 months or so is the introduction of artificial intelligence into this Google search world and how it's shifting things. And I want to get this piece out of the way and then continue our GBP discussion. But there's a big difference between what happens when you're searching for generic general things on Google and the type of output that you get
Mhm.
versus searching for something like what you've just described in a local market. And I wonder if you can kind of describe what that difference is.
Well, they can intersect actually. So as you probably know, Google is changing to a zero-click search. So if you were to ask a question, and the answer is readily available in a video on YouTube or on an article or even on someone's Google business profile, they will give that answer directly. Most of us hear it or see the results with like Wikipedia. But if you did a search for how do I do blah, 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 and there is a YouTube video that explains that, they will give that video as the first search result with a timestamp the answer of your question. So what they're trying to do is they want the user experience to be on Google and them not to go away. Okay. If they ask a question that perhaps they're near you, you have your question and answer section of your Google business profile completed, and that question is on there. It's potential that your Google business profile question and answer will be their response. So there's many ways that your Google business profile can pull up in addition to the maps.
I love this. Okay, I hadn't thought about those answers like the AI informed answers being a piece of an opportunity for the local business because I'm seeing right now as they're sort of shifting over to this, right? There's not necessarily the inventory of the Google Business Profile content to always fill that depending on what I'm typing into Google. But I definitely see that when it's not a local business related search. And so I'm
Right.
asking a general question. I'm always seeing something like what you've described. But what you've just opened up here, and I want to dig into this a little bit more, is when a Google business profile is strategically filled in or built out, right? You
Hmm.
have the opportunity to show up in lots of different types of searches in
Exactly.
different Google properties. So walk us a little bit deeper into that world.
Well, and it kind of goes, so when we talk SEO, it's easier to understand the impact of Google Business Profile and SEO together, right? Years and years ago, it was your website, it was a long-term process, it was hard to understand. Business owners got impatient, but we were working as hard as we could to make Google find you, right? Now, imagine that on your Google Business Profile, you have everybody has FAQs, right? Every customer has at least 3 questions they ask. Everybody asks the same business, right? So if you had your FAQs on an FAQ page on your website and you had those same questions on your Google Business Profile with the same answers, that gives Google 2 points of contact that you have those answers. So it's if they are close to your business and they ask that question, you have the opportunity to be that Q&A,
Mhm.
right? And anytime you see, say you ask a generic question and your answer is at the top, there's always also asked, and
Mm.
you can click that and drop down. So I've seen instances where a website we were working with was able to actually not only answer the first question, but be 2 or 3 of those also asked. So that's a tremendous amount of marketing juice, if you will,
Mhm.
of their website being referenced 3 to 4 times in a generic question result.
Okay, you've given an example here that's text based, right? Frequently asked
Correct.
questions and then the answers to those questions. A moment ago, you said something about video. What other types of assets can a business include with their profile that might show up and get people's attention?
So in your Google Business Profile, think of it like, I don't like to say website because that gets confusing, but it is a property that is free. Okay. You can have photos and videos. You can list products. You can list services. You can list specials. You can have your team members on there. You can have blog posts on there. So the more information that you can put out about your business or that answers questions that your clients might have, your potential customers might have, those are the things you want to do. You also want to reply to all the reviews, as as much information as you possibly can, and then do something every week. Take 10 minutes a week and put something new up. A new question, a new photo, a new, answer a review, anything like that. Google sees that you are engaged. And if you're running ads at the same time, they will give you more priority because you're an engaged user. Also, if you have, say you have less reviews than your next competition in the map pack, if you're engaged and they're not, you could possibly be above them in the map pack. It's not rated on who has the most reviews.
That's pretty fascinating. So this reminds me of what, early days of websites, we would talk about kind of the brochure website versus the
Mhm.
dynamic content website, which is what you're talking about in terms of regular updates, and that it's a
Correct.
signal that there's, engagement on the website, or in this case on the profile, that tells Google this is a business that we want to draw attention to because they are actively participating in our
Property.
environment, right?
Yeah,
Property, right?
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, in Google's ecosphere, you're in there, right?
That was the word I was looking for, ecosphere. And I think what your point earlier was about what is their priority. Their priority is the same priority that all of the social network platforms have, which is to get people there and keep them there. And
Mhm.
so by sort of feeding the beast, if you will, right, through these profiles, we are helping them draw attention to our business on our profile and hitting their goal of keeping somebody on their platform.
Exactly. Give as much information as you can. You know, you've got your, and and for the business owner, there's insights in the back in the management portal, and you can see how are people interacting with your Google Business Profile. Are they leaving reviews? Are they clicking on directions? Are they calling you? Are they going to your website? And you can even add a tracking number on there as your second phone number to try to and make that your chat. You can SMS chat and phone calls. So you can actually see how many calls you're getting from the Google Business Profile.
So I want to talk about this a little bit more because I get a monthly report. I get an email sort of showing what my general stats are, what the change is from the previous month, things like that. And then I guess I can click in to wherever that email is linking to get additional details. And when I've looked at this in the past, and I don't have a business, even though I have a listing, I don't have a business that really is serving a local audience. So the utility for me is very different from, a business that is trying to work with a local crowd, a service provider, a restaurant, whatever. But when I do click in there, I see things like being able to set up the ability to interact with people through the Google platform, through messaging, as the example you gave, or
Exactly.
clicking, set up a click to call button so that somebody can easily see my listing, tap on a button on their phone, and be on the phone with me or one of my team members. And so how how does that play out in the types of businesses that you're working with? Is that a stand like walk me through what it might be like to start this process as a business, and what are the things that we may want to set up? And then I guess I always ask, like, multi-tiered questions where you have to ask me, now what was that other part, but I'm gonna ask anyway. um I guess the piece is like, what beyond those Google properties get impacted when you start putting these things in place that you also need to consider?
Well, part of SEO is citations. So that's links back to your website. Okay. So you want to make sure your website has your name, legal name, address, and phone number, right? We call that NAP, the NAP. So when you go to Google Business Profile, you claim it, you need to make sure the name, address, and phone number is identical to your website, and Google can go, okay, they're the same, right? So that makes a big impact. When you then turn on the chat, that gives you, or even the click to call button, that gives them an even easier way to reach. So what you're telling Google is like, I'm okay to keep them on you, right? I'm okay to keep them on Google, which is what you want, but I want them to reach me as well. And so that's what makes that easy. And so it's obviously you think of authority links, there's nothing bigger than Google and YouTube,
Mhm.
right? So you want to make sure that all of that's filled out. And the big thing is some people, maybe from the days of Google My Business, they have reviews there, but they never actually went in and filled anything out. So if that's all you have of reviews, you don't have anything else, then Google doesn't realize that you actually are doing anything other than just getting reviews. They don't know that you're an active business. So you need to go into, and if you type your name, your business name into Google, you'll see if there's a Google Business Profile, and it'll say claim this listing or own this business, depending on where you are. And you click that and you then claim the business, and they will either, there's several ways of verifying. They'll either mail you a postcard, or you can do a video, or there's several options now. And you want to verify that that is you, because one danger is your competition can claim it, and you don't want that to happen. So you want to claim it and then verify it, and then you can fill it out and start giving Google all of this information on your business so that they can serve it up when people in your area are looking. And also keep in mind that the majority of searching is done on the mobile phone, especially if I'm out on the street looking for a great restaurant near me. Say I'm looking for an Italian restaurant near me. Well, if three come up and only one of those three have a click to call, or maybe the menu online, that's the one I'm going to look at.
So,
So you
yeah,
help them by give them information.
yep. I'm thinking about this as a consumer, how I go through that, and that menu point is like a perfect example.
Mhm.
Now, I often I will do the search directly from a map, right? So I'll be in the map um, app, and then I will look for a restaurant, and pictures will come up. A lot of
Exactly.
them are actually not from the business, but from the customers.
Mhm.
How does that play into things in terms of what Google sees in engagement from the customers of the business with the business on their platform?
Yeah, so that adds extra juice to your Google Business Profile. Most of those types of pictures that are customer pictures come from the reviews.
Mhm.
So that goes in and it doesn't count towards your limit of pictures and videos that goes on. But it says when you go into your Google Business Profile and you look at photos, and I do this on my phone as well. If you look at photos, if you'll look in tiny print, it'll be from reviews, from customers, or it'll say from the business owner.
Hmm.
And then there's some that say outside. So you want to, give the full as much information as possible. Just keep giving Google as much information as possible. Encourage your clients, if you're a restaurant or any type of business that photos are a good thing. Encourage people to use the photos on their reviews. It just gives you more validity in Google's mind.
So I want to go back to that click to call thing for a moment,
Mhm.
because there are plenty of businesses that I think we all know are terrible at serving their clients and customers and patients and whatever well. And one of the pet peeves that a lot of people have these days is nobody uses the phone. Nobody answers the phone. Nobody
Right.
responds, right? I'm curious, because I've had this happen several times to me when I actually call a business and I'm using that click to call and it rings or it goes into a voicemail and it's not an actual conversation. Is that a ding? Is that a penalty in Google's eyes?
Not that we know of at this point, but that's the whole point of adding the chat button.
Hmm.
So if you've got, I mean, let's just keep playing with the restaurant idea. If you have, almost every restaurant has a company cell phone that's laying around the cash register to catch those text messages, and have your hostess be paying attention to that. Make sure your hours of operation are correct so that way, the phone is there whenever you're open.
Hmm. As you know, and our regular listeners know, I'm a strategy guy, and I sort of want to look at how do you use this channel, this platform, this suite of tools that Google is giving us, differently depending on the type of business you are, the type of client that you're trying to attract, just the way that you would position a business on your website or where you tend to prospect for clients, as an example. And so we've been talking about restaurants, and I wonder if we can juxtapose a restaurant to a different type of business, say a white collar professional services type business, or
Mhm.
any other example that you want to give, to explain how we want to think through ways we want to show up, terminology, visuals that we might want to use on this platform, and what decisions we have to make there.
Absolutely. So if you think about what the most important thing after your name, address, and phone number is on and it's correct, the most important thing next is going to be your category you choose. So say you're a financial advisor or you're an attorney. What you would want to do is sit down and say, okay, what is the number one category that best describes what I do? Never ever say law firm, because that's the first thing that's going to come up. There are so many choices: personal injury attorney, criminal attorney, family law attorney. If you're a financial services person, what is the number one thing that you do? Financial advisor doesn't tell me enough if I'm searching for a financial advisor. And I see that, the first one says a specific type of financial services. The two just say financial advisor. I'm going to go with the one that took the time to say specifically what they do. I think they've raised it to 10 different categories now that you can choose.
And these are things that they
Prioritize them.
they they list out and you have to pick from, rather than you entering in a category yourself.
Correct.
Okay.
And I believe they still have you can suggest a category, but yeah, you want to choose what they have, because remember, think of your Google Business Profile or them taking like the ginormous yellow pages and bringing them in and making a directory, right? And then they tell you to go claim your own. So the category is huge, hugely important. and you want to be as descriptive as you can, and then put them in order, because every category is a keyword that will help find you when people do a search.
Okay. Beyond the category that we're picking, visually showing up. I mean, this gets into what I think some folks might think of in terms of visual branding or personal branding, or the types of things, assets that you want to put up there and how they show up. Are there considerations depending on the type of business that you are or the type of customer that you're trying to appeal to?
Yes, and it's just like the imagery you're using on your website, right? You want to, pardon me, you want to include your logo if that's important. Now, does your logo tell me anything about your business? Or would a headshot or a professional image of your team or the front of your building, which would tell me as a user more about you,
Hmm.
right? A lot of people put their logo as the number one main image. That doesn't help me. If I'm looking for a financial services person or an attorney, a big fancy logo doesn't help me. But if I see a real person and maybe a picture of their team, I might look a little bit further. So you've got to think about, and it's like in SEO, we used to ask when you fill out the form for your SEO services, what keywords do you want to be found for? Now the next question is, what will people actually type in to find you? Those are two completely separate questions, right? What kind of imagery would your customer like to see to know that you're a real person, right? We're not going into, we're not, it comes, we do business with people we know,
Hmm.
right? People we trust. And having that type of imagery is what's important. You've got fit photos and videos. You've got your services and your products. There's even a description. So you've got, I don't remember how many characters are in it, but there's an about us. Make that keyword rich and make it where it makes sense to people. And those keywords and what you're saying help you rank whenever people search in your area for your service.
So you were talking about photos and videos, and I've certainly, I remember years ago when I first set this up for my business, I wanted to portray that I do training, public speaking, workshops, and so I had a lot of imagery of me either in front of a room speaking or working with somebody, at a laptop or on a table or doing a consultation, so that they could visualize. Is that what we're talking about in terms of
Exactly.
the things that we need to think through for the visual? In terms of the video content, right? One of the things that I think savvy marketers and maybe less savvy marketers think about is each of the social channels has its preferred type of video content, video structure, video
Mhm.
shape, all of that stuff. What is most appropriate or fits best in this scenario in the Google Business Profile?
We suggest doing a landscape of your phone instead of like the TikTok shape. Do the landscape and literally look at the camera and just speak to your customer.
Mhm.
Introduce yourself. It's incredibly difficult to get people to do, but it's incredibly simple. It could take less than 5 minutes. We want a 30 seconds to a 60-second video. Explain who you are, how you help them, invite them in, and ask them to click to call you.
How much video content do we get on these profile listings?
I believe there's currently 15 slots, and I think most of them are images. So it's a perpetually changing
Yeah.
thing. So there's a few video slots, I believe, and the rest are image slots.
Okay. So in addition to introduction, the FAQ point that you made earlier, or some other type of content that would be something people would generally want to know might be
Hmm.
fitting as well.
Exactly.
Okay. Um, some businesses, this is obviously a no-brainer for. And I'm curious, are there, businesses that you'd say, this is great, but not something that's a must-have, and you really should benefit from focusing your efforts in marketing elsewhere? Are there ones that you
Well,
say, "Go ahead."
I would. If you are 100% remote and you're not working local, it's really not a benefit for you.
Mhm.
You know, that's really the biggest thing is if your audience, your customer audience is near you, you are a local business, it is imperative that you do this. If your business is global, it's not. Because how many people, walking around town are going to look for a global business? They're not. They're going to go to Google, look for it, find your website, or find your social media channels, or look for you on LinkedIn, that sort of thing. So if you're a global business, it's not as important. And if you're a global business working out of your home and you don't have a address that can receive a postcard or can verify yourself, then you're not going to be able to take advantage of it. You could still get reviews, but you're not going to be able to manage anything, nor reply to those reviews.
I think another challenge that I have encountered in the past with this is businesses that either have multiple locations or franchisors that are, selling the franchise to multiple franchisees in a market, and how the types of mistakes that come up when you're dealing with those scenarios where the same business name appears at different locations, different addresses. What advice do you
Well,
have on that front?
that really, multiple ones shouldn't come up unless they're within 5 miles of each other. And I do know that there's some franchises that do. Now, let me tell you one extra little thing that you can do on Google Business Profile, also for free, is take a practitioner listing. So say you're a financial advisor working in an office and it's Jenkins and Jenkins Financial Services, right? But I want my own Google Business Profile. I can go under Jenkins and Jenkins and get a Marilyn Jenkins Financial Services Advisor
Okay,
and
so
set up my own Google
yeah.
Business Profile.
So
So,
if let's continue with the financial services, right? There's financial services under a brand name, Raymond James or Edward Jones or something like that, and there's a
mhm.
bunch of them. So do we have to coordinate with our franchisor or the local, brand manager of that brand to be able to do this, or is that something that independently we
you
can do?
It would be independent because, obviously you are Raymond James,
Hmm.
if that's what you're doing, but you also want to be known because, so the question is, to answer that question, to be a bit more vague, is are the people looking that work for you or work with you, your customers, do they know you personally or do they know the brand personally? Okay. If it's the brand, then it might not behoove you to have your own.
Yeah.
But if your customers come in, and I've known many financial services companies that I knew the people because of the Chamber of Commerce I'm in, right? And so I don't think of you, David, as Raymond James. I think of David.
Hmm.
So it would be important for, if I'm like going, my friend going, you got to look up David. He's really great. And so they do a search for David, they'll find your Google Business Profile. Same address, maybe same phone number, maybe different phone number than your franchise, but it gives you one more step traction towards being found because you are important to that business and to the customers. And we call it a practitioner listing, but it's like, it
Mhm.
started out as doctor's offices and stuff like that and law firms. It works with any franchise, any business that the primary owner or partner or whatever is the face of the business. It makes a big difference for them to have their own practitioner listing and equally filled out. Even if a lot of the detail is exactly the same, it needs to be completed as well.
Yeah. I'm glad this came up and that we got into sort of this complexity, these nuances of these types of scenarios, because what it tells me is this is not as cut and dry, not as straightforward for many businesses. And you gave my favorite answer that any marketer worth anything should be giving, which is, well, it depends, right? Because we don't have, a one size fits all scenario with this platform or most other marketing solutions. And so,
And they're
I,
not going to tell you all the
yeah,
details.
yeah.
They're not going to give you the secret sauce. We know what's there and we watch for changes, but we give them what they want and we over give them what they want. So when someone's searching, they can say, this is who you need to go see.
Yeah. So speaking of who you need to go see, could you take just a moment and share a little bit more about the work that you do with businesses and the types of things beyond teaching them about the Google Business Profile that you can help with?
Absolutely. My company, MJ Media Group and Law Marketing Zone, we work with professional service providers and law firms to do more of an omnipresence approach to their digital marketing. So we work with their website, we work with their Google business profile, their SEO, paid ads, whether it's Google or Facebook, and their social media marketing.
Mhm.
So we help get their brand, their name, and their messaging out there so they can be found in their local market whenever people have a need. So through this, I've been in digital marketing for over almost 20 years now, focusing on professional services for the past 6. And I found that some businesses are not quite ready for paid ads or outsourcing their marketing. So I really wanted to make sure I got the importance of the Google Business Profile out there. So I wrote a book, and I wrote the book, The Google Business Profile Training Guide, that takes you step by step, claiming, verifying, and optimizing so that you can dominate your local search. And it's available at maximizeyourgbp.com.
You said that so comfortably and easily, and I was struggling over it before we hit record. I was like, maximize your gbp.com.
Well, we're so used to GMB, and that one rolls better, right? But it's GBP. So it's yeah, so the book is available to, it's a PDF. I also have an audio book if you're like me and like to listen to podcasts while you're taking your walk in the morning. And it just helps to be able to have visually step by step, how do I do this? And I just want to emphasize, it only takes 10 minutes a week to add a little something to show engagement.
And if you're in a professional services business and you have a team member who can do that on behalf of your business, that's nothing, right?
That's
That is
right.
super easy. So, for all of you financial advisors and attorneys out there, say I'm way too busy to dedicate 10 minutes. You probably have a team member who could do it for you. So,
Exactly.
this is great, and I'm on the page on the site where you have the book. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that you include with the book, and I don't want to give anything away except to say that um, this is not a token free download to get somebody onto your email list as a lead magnet. This is a lot of material that you are guiding somebody through that has a huge amount of value, and uh, you do something which is uncommon here, and I want to ask you about it for a quick moment, and then we'll sort of wrap things up. You want folks, I think, to have some skin in the game by investing in this book rather than simply giving it away. And you're charging a token amount, $27, which is nothing given the value that they get once they go through the process that you're teaching in the book. I'm
Correct.
curious why you've chosen to sell it as opposed to giving it away, and what you have discovered as a result of going down that path.
I, it's one of those things, if you don't value, if you don't pay for it,
Mhm.
my grandmother used to say that, you don't value what you get for free. And I just think there's so much incredible value in your Google business profile as a small business, that, I could price it a lot higher, but I just wanted a token amount, get a little skin in the game. You get the checklist, which is actually an outline, so you can have that you can print out separately and check it off as you do it. As you go through the book, I give you the checklist. The AI prompts are a really fun way of going into Chat GPT and creating blog posts and those kinds of things. So I make making the content for it easy. So I try to give you everything on a platter that you need. That, at $27 investment, how much is one customer for you?
Yeah.
If one new person calls you, and I've got a couple of stories of how, just making little tweaks improved phone calls. It's just,
Mhm.
it makes such a huge difference. One new customer will pay for this book.
Well, I love it, and it's something that I haven't seen before, and the fact that you're taking the time to really guide them step by step through this process, and it really underlines the value of doing it and doing it correctly. And so, once again, if folks are interested in grabbing a copy of this and you need some expert guidance on it, head over to maximizeyourgbp.com. Hey, Marilyn, Jenkins, thank you so very much. This has been a treat, and you've opened my eyes to some things that I need to be thinking about on the Google properties front as well. So I appreciate your insights.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being here.
Indeed. Folks, you have been listening to More Perfect Marketing. If you know somebody who could benefit from the conversation you just heard, please send them our way. Until next time, I'm David Baer. Take care. Bye bye.